First and foremost, you guys are probably wondering why we're doing a wrestling podcast today. All right. The story behind this is I became a huge wrestling fan. I grew up playing basketball. If you guys would have told me the out of 100 sports, what sport to pick as a kid, I would have definitely wrestling would have been number 100. I was not a fan of wrestling. But one thing led to the other, and my son started wrestling at age 4. Initially, we started doing jiu-jitsu. My son started wrestling at age 4. I fell in love with wrestling as a sport. I regretted big time not wrestling as a kid. I think it's a beautiful sport. I think it's everything about it, how difficult it is. I've seen what it does to kids as far as their self-confidence and everything. Also, I'm a very proud Cuban. Came to this country when I was 3 years old. Actually, my 40th anniversary being in this country was a couple days ago, May 9th. So it's kind of fitting. So there was one interview that I saw with Yoel Romero and Joe Rogan in the Joe Rogan show where they talked about, and it's something I've always been interested in. Why is it that Cuba produces the amount of athletes in general? Boxers, wrestlers, baseball players. I mean, it's just a powerhouse of sports. So I've always wondered what it is, that produces this type of athlete. Now, obviously, my two favorite sports are my three favorite sports in reality are wrestling, boxing, and MMA as a whole. So today we're gonna have a wrestler, Anthony Echemendía, which has a wonderful story, and we're gonna have a boxer to understand and to explain exactly what it is that the Cuban system, how it is that the Cuban system produces these types of athletes. So Anthony is right now the perfect person to really understand, to really explain that, because he started as a kid in Cuba wrestling. Actually, you started in gymnastics, correct, Anthony?
Yeah.
You started in gymnastics, switched over to wrestling. He actually left Cuba, defected Cuba. Beautiful story on Flow Wrestling, which is another reason why I'm doing the podcast. I think there's a lot of things that I wanted to hear. So because of Alexis, which is a friend of mine, I was able to get together with Anthony. And if I'm able to ask him these questions, here we are to ask them. So there's a lot of things that I wanted to basically know about the trip over here. So, first thing I want to know, Anthony, is, when is it what age did you start wrestling, and what age do usually kids in Cuba start wrestling?
Well, I started wrestling when I was 6 years old, but like almost all the kids in Cuba, they start wrestling at the youngest age, like when they're 6 years old, 7 years old. That's the right age to start wrestling.
Right, because
my first sport was gymnastics.
So you started what gymnastics at what age?
I started gymnastics when I was 4 years old by the influence of my mom.
Interesting.
Because she was a gymnast.
Your mom was a gymnast in Cuba. Okay, go ahead. I didn't know that. So now I heard that kids are not really allowed to start wrestling until like around 8 years old, 9 years old in Cuba. Is that accurate? Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Like in Cuba, we got a different system. Yeah, we got a different system. Cuba, USA and Cuba got way different system. Like in Cuba, when you start wrestling, they teach you gymnastics first.
Right, that's what I heard.
And yeah, gymnastics, how to move on the mat. And when you start getting the skills, the good skills, you're getting stronger. They teach you the technique, the wrestling techniques.
So they
don't teach you. Yeah, they don't teach you the wrestling techniques right away.
Until
they get you strong.
At what age do they start teaching you wrestling?
Like if you start wrestling at 4 years old, that you're gonna spend 1 year getting stronger. They're gonna teach you how to move on the mat, gymnastics, and then when you spend a year in wrestling, they start teaching you the wrestling techniques, wrestling move, and you're gonna start learning about wrestling. Okay. But first, they're gonna teach you how to move, how they're gonna get you stronger, and then you're gonna start learning about wrestling.
Okay, so basically they make you an athlete first, and then they make you a wrestler, basically.
Yeah.
Right. So at what age? So you start wrestling. From what I understand, from what I'm hearing, and these stories usually come from a lot of them come from Alexis when we're there, because his son and mine they wrestle together. So when we're on the side talking, I'm always asking him questions and everything. So there's from what I understand, there's different provinces, the diferentes provincias, right? So
Yeah.
everybody wrestles for their province, correct?
Yeah.
So
It's like a state here in USA, but we call it different in Cuba.
Right.
Because
So
it's a small country.
okay, so is there tournaments? How does the tournaments work? So if you're under, okay, so first let me say, so at what age does it become serious? At 8, 9 years old, do they become actual wrestlers where you start actually wrestling? Is it 8, 9?
Yeah, when you turn 9 years old, you start competing at the national level, and at the state level first. And if you qualify to wrestle in the national level, you go to the national tournament. Okay. And represent your state.
So that's one thing I'm really curious about, because here in the United States, there's literally a tournament. If you want to go to a tournament every single weekend, you could go to a tournament every single weekend. And what we have is this thing called track wrestling. So track wrestling you could say, all right, well, I'm going to be in Ohio this weekend. I'm going to go and find a tournament in Ohio, and then I could go and see how many kids are registered in this tournament, how many kids in what age and what weight, and I could go ahead and I could know exactly who my son's going to wrestle in another state at any moment. And literally every single weekend there's different nationals that have different levels of importance, but there's, I don't know, 20, 30 national tournaments that they call national tournaments every year. So how do the tournaments work? How many times does a kid, let's say the kid's 8 years old, how many times does a kid wrestle? And then are you representing your academy, or are you representing your province?
You're representing your province.
Your province.
Like if you're gonna compete at the national level, you're gonna represent your province.
You're gonna represent.
If you're gonna wrestle at the province level, you're gonna represent your hometown. Like I was born in Castañon. It's a small city. Like I don't know how to say in English. Like small town, and I was representing my hometown, competing at the province level.
So at the province, you're representing your hometown. You're going, and everybody's wearing their shirts, and everybody's representing their actual. And what is the best? Where do the best wrestlers, youth wrestlers, come out of now in Cuba?
Like what province?
Yeah. What province?
I think, I don't know. Like Santiago de Cuba has a lot of good guys always. And Havana, Pinar del Rio, they don't give you, like, they don't win a lot of national tournaments, but I don't know, they have a system that when a guy goes to the national team, that guy for sure is gonna win world and Olympic titles for sure. They don't have a lot of athletes in the national team, but when a guy from Pinar del Rio goes to the national team, oh my God, those guys win world and Olympic title for sure.
And what do you think the difference is? Is it the coaching? Is it a cultural thing? What do you think? What do you think it is?
I think it's the base, because like in Cuba in general, we got like the same system, but other province, they try to get their athletes stronger at the youngest age. Like they start lifting weights when they're 12 years old, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
So I haven't lifted weight in my entire life.
That's another thing that I heard, which is very, if anybody has been on Anthony's Instagram, you should go. I mean, I actually saw a picture of you when you were like 12 years old or 13 years old. Man, you look like a man. That's crazy. And you're saying you never lifted weights, ever?
Never. I don't know. My strength is different. Like when I'm wrestling, people say, I don't know how you're so strong. But I go to the weight room and 120 pounds can lift more than me.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, I don't understand. I mean, maybe it's the technique, how you lift, and maybe it's my technique, my wrestling technique is different.
And what so you're just doing this based on push-ups, pull-ups, squats, what or gymnastics? What is it? How? Because here's another thing. I know what a weight room looks like here in the United States. Okay, and I'm sure you've been to like Platinum Fitness, and you've been to LA Fitness and all of those. All right, so and I've also seen, aside from being born in Cuba, I've gone back several times. I'm very interested in the athletics, and I've always been interested in how the Cuban system works with the athletes. I know that they don't have the best facilities. Actually, my uncle was the diving coach for many years for Cuba, and I would always ask him the stories and how things work there and everything. So, but I've seen the facilities there, and they're not the best facilities in the world. Okay, I would probably say that almost every country in the world has better training facilities as far as equipment is concerned. But yet Cuba is always up there in the medals specifically in combat sports and in baseball. So what is it that you did in particular? Like, how do you get that strong if you don't have the weights and you don't have the systems?
Well, I mean, like, you can have the best weight room in the world. You can have everything, you know what I mean? But you need to love what you're doing. And I mean, Cubans got, like, I don't know. We think different. We think a different way. Like, we're very close with our families, and we're always fighting to get better future for our family. And that's why Cubans are good. That's why we're champions. We were born being champions. I mean, like, we got a different system, and I don't know. I would love to share with you guys the Cuban system, but they put weird names to every single exercise that you do, and
it would consist of pull-ups and push-ups. It's all body weight. You're not
it's
lifting,
all body weight.
You're not, because I've also seen that you have these weight rooms, they'll have concrete, instead of a dumbbell, they'll have concrete. They'll make a dumbbell. But it's not necessarily that. You're saying that all your strength came from body weight in particular.
Yeah, all my strength came from body weight. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we got a lot of, like, we have to get used to what we have. Like, we don't have the best weight room, but we have different stuff. Like, if we don't have the plates, we build our own plates, and we do what we can do.
Right. So right now in this quarantine, it doesn't affect you at all.
No, it doesn't affect me. I got a log on my.
Right. You don't need a gym at all. Right.
I don't need it. Yeah, I got a lot of ways to work out, a lot of different ways, and I keep myself ready the whole time.
When you guys, so let's go back to the province thing. So, because my brain's going in a million different directions. So you start the youth program. You start with the gymnastics. You start with all the calisthenics and to prepare you as an athlete. Then around 9 years old, when is it that you guys start going to the ELIDE? ¿Cómo se dice ELIDE?
Sports school, yeah, like the sports school.
The sports school.
Yeah, the sports school.
So EIDE, correct?
Yeah, EIDE, yeah.
Which stands
for.
We
can call it a sports school, like that's what it means in Spanish. That's what it means. EIDE means sports school.
So the sports school, when is it? How young do people start living? Do they send the people? So it's like a boarding school for everybody here in the United States. It's basically they pick you out. So you start winning provinces. You start winning the tournaments in the provinces. They pick you out. They say, all right, well, this guy's going to be good. Let's send him to the sports school, to ELIDE, correct?
Yeah, it's like, for example, if you go to the state tournament here in USA, and the top 3 guys in every weight class, they recruit all the top 3 guys in every weight class, and they send it to the sports school. If you won.
Okay.
If you won.
Okay, and at what age? That's at 9 or 10?
Yeah, at 9 years old. I entered the sports school when I was 9 years old.
When you were 9 years old. Okay, so at 9.
I had to live there, stay there.
Right.
When I was 9 years old.
that's what I was going at, because I also think that a lot of it, like my son's 9 years old right now. If I had to say, all right, I'm gonna send them to a place, and you're only seeing your parents once a week?
Yeah, you only see your parents in the weekends.
In the weekend,
Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday you have to go back to the sports school.
And it depends how far you are too, because if you're really far from the Elite, then you got to take buses and you got to take trains and you got to take whatever.
Oh no, if you live too far from the sports school, you go home every 15 days, because every 15 days they send buses to every single city where the kids live.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Right. So again, I have a son. Alexis has a son that wrestles too. So it's hard for me to say, all right, hey, I'm gonna send them over to the school. I'm sure it's a very difficult decision for the parents. I'm sure it's extremely difficult for a kid to be like, all right, well, now I'm gonna be put in a place with a bunch of athletes, right? So the ages from there, you live together with kids that are from 9 years old to 16 years old, or
any age from 9 years old to 20 years old, because after you graduate high school, we got a different system in Cuba. I don't know, we don't call high school in Cuba.
Yeah,
we call pre-universitario.
Right.
So when you graduate from pre-universitario, and if you want to keep doing your sport, you can go to the academic, la academia. Le llama la academia.
Right.
Entonces tú vas para la academia a luchar por la academia o a boxear por la academia.
So you go to the academy and right, you go to the specific sports academy of whatever sport that is that you're gonna pick. You're gonna be a wrestler or a boxer, and you're gonna go to that specific academy.
So there is a lot of different age, like from 9 years old to 22 years old. And it's hard, man. Think about your 9 years old son living
with a bunch of big kids
around. Yeah, living around
a bunch of maniacs.
All those guys, going to take a shower. You're 9 years old, and you're gonna have to take a shower with an 18 years old kid.
Right,
and it's hard.
And here, in the United States, there's the whole big thing on bullying, and if the kid's gonna get a bully and they're gonna pick on the kid, if somebody's gonna take your lunch money or take your milk at school or whatever. I'm sure if you're living in a sports school,
you're gonna see that for sure in Cuba.
Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to defend yourself. You have to learn how to defend yourself. Not only wrestle, but you gotta learn how to fight.
I couldn't enjoy when I was a kid. When I started my sport career, my dad, I have a big brother, and my big brother was a good wrestler, but he couldn't get to the national team. And when I told my dad, hey, I want to be a wrestler like you, because my dad was a wrestler.
Okay.
And I want to be a wrestler like you, and like my big brother. And my dad, my dad know about wrestling. So he said, okay, we're gonna get you to the high level.
Right. He knew that you had what it takes, and he's like, all right, well, listen, I'm doing this for my son. I know it's gonna be the best thing for him. And he makes that decision, but it's not an easy decision. You're still young, and you don't see it through his eyes yet. You see it through your eyes. But as a father, it's a difficult decision, and obviously in your case it's the right decision. I'm sure in some cases it might not be. Some kids don't make it. I'm sure not every kid makes it. A lot of kids want to come home.
No, man. When you're a 9 years old kid and you go to the sports school, a lot of kids quit.
Yeah.
Like they don't stay at the sports school. It's hard.
It's hard.
While you live in the sports school, like the bullying, all that kind of stuff, you're gonna see that. And your parents are not there. Your parents are not there to help you.
Right. You got to figure it out.
Help.
And I also think that I think Russia does it the same way. Correct? I'm sure Russia.
Yeah,
I think Russia does the same system, because I think the Cuban system, from what I understand, again, I'm in love with wrestling, but I'm new to the whole wrestling thing. From the stories that I'm hearing, the everything about sports of Cuba really came from Russia. Is that?
Yeah,
Alexi,
that's true. Everything. Yeah. We got the, like I say, we got the Cuban system, but we don't. Like we got the old Russian system.
Right, the old school Russian system. Because last time I went to Cuba, I stayed in La Marina Hemingway, right? And there was like 30 Russian boxers there. There was the whole Russian team was there staying. I guess they were either a tournament or something like that. So yeah, it's you know, when you look at Russia, and you know, when you look at the Olympics, you know, Russia even has, you know, a big part in Cuba winning these tournaments, because again, it is the Russia. How often does Russia go to Cuba now? A lot?
I have no idea. I don't think they go a lot.
But you guys go over there?
I don't think they go
Russia,
to
Cuba goes to Russia a lot?
Well, we don't have money to travel and go to every tournament in the world.
Yeah.
Like we save in Cuba saved the money to the big tournaments.
Yeah.
World Championships, Olympics, World Cup, but we don't go to everywhere. You know, that's another reason I had to leave Cuba.
Yeah.
I would love to represent Cuba, man. I love Cuba. I love my Cuban people.
Yeah.
Like, we're a big family. Sometimes people, oh, you left Cuba because, you know, you didn't like Cuba.
No, that's not the case.
I wish I could be in Cuba right now with my family, but man, I'm looking for a better future.
By the way, your tattoo that you got is genius. That's the best tattoo I've ever seen. It's United States. Yeah. Best tattoo ever, man. That is genius. That is a genius idea, because it's both, man. It's both. Listen. I'm Cuban American, and I'm definitely proud of that. So it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so let's get back to, okay, so you're 9 years old. You're 9 years old. How many tournaments do you start going to? Because again, you know, I think that kids here go to too many tournaments. I think it's just too much, and you got to be careful with it. Like with my son right now, I'm like, man, I can't do every single tournament. My son's 9 years old, might have 400 matches. You know what I mean? And that's
crazy.
Right, and that's me being conservative. Me saying, well, I can't go to every single tournament. There might be kids that have 700 matches. You know, now, when we go to tournaments here, I mean, he's been, again, at 8 years old, 6 years old, there's been brackets that he had 30 kids in it. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that's what I want to see the difference. So in Cuba, when you go to one of these tournaments, how many kids do you have in the bracket? How many tournaments are you doing a year as a 9-year-old, right? And how many kids do you usually see in the bracket? How does that work?
Now, when you're a 9 years old kid, I mean, you're gonna go a year, you're gonna participate in 4 tournaments total.
4 tournaments a year total?
4 tournaments total.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe the coaches do a couple duels.
Right.
Like a province against another province.
Yeah.
But you're gonna do just 2 matches, you know what I mean?
Right. So
you're not gonna go to a big tournament like here in USA, and you're gonna see 50 kids, 100 kids in your bracket.
How many kids do you have at Fargo? Like 100 and something? 130?
128 kids. When I saw my bracket out,
you're like, what the hell is this? That was the first thing you noticed, right? All right. So, and how many kids in the bracket in one of those tournaments? So it's 4 tournaments a year, and how many kids in the bracket?
So, like, think about it. We got 16 provinces in Cuba, and so just one kid can represent the province. Okay. Just one kid. So 16 kids in your bracket.
So you're looking at 4 matches.
And sometimes they don't take your weight class. So sometimes you're gonna see 14, 13 kids in your bracket.
So you're looking at So that makes 3 matches. You know, if you win them all, Well, I mean, like here in USA, they have to make like 6 groups. Yeah. In Cuba, they make like 2 groups because it's a small bracket. Right.
So you're gonna do, like, if you have 6 kids in your bracket in your group, you're gonna wrestle 5 matches. Okay. And then you're gonna wrestle against the second. I don't know. Like, we have a weird system.
Is it single elimination or double elimination? Because here one of the double elimination. Okay.
Yeah, double elimination.
Because my son competes in jiu-jitsu too, and one of the things that I hate about jiu-jitsu is single elimination, right? So if you go there, man, there was one time we went to Florida, California. He loses his first match. That's it. They're going home. You know. So what I like about wrestling is that, like in his case, we went to Tulsa one time. His first tournament, he was nervous. He lost his first match, but he was able to go all the way to true second. So it allows you to to really, you know, you could lose one match and still make it. So that's one thing I definitely like about wrestling over jiu-jitsu. So you're looking at 9 years old, you're doing 4 tournaments, maybe 3 or 4 matches. So what's 4 times 4 again? I'm not good at math. 16, right? No, what's 4 times 4? Damn, I just blanked out on that. Is it 16? All right. So you're looking at 16, 20 matches in a year, right?
Yeah, total maybe 25, 30 matches.
20 matches
a year.
A year.
But I mean, like, I disagree when they make all those big tournaments for little kids.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have time to compete a lot. I think that we should, you know, I don't know. I'm not a big. I don't know. Maybe I don't know too much about wrestling, but that's it. This is my point. That's how I see. And that's how I think you can get better in wrestling. I think that when you start wrestling, you should care about how you're gonna prepare yourself, how you can get stronger, how you can get faster, how you can get better skills in wrestling. And then when you're 10, 11 or 12 years old, start competing a lot.
Right.
But when you're 8 years old, 9, 10 years old, you don't need to be wrestling around the country every single weekend. You're not gonna have time to prepare. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and I'm not disagreeing with you. It's really, you know, I'm new to the sport as a dad. I'm new to the sport, period. I'm new to the sport as a dad, and again, I'm just thinking out loud here, you know. So when you first start, you hear, oh, this tournament and that tournament, and then, you know, in this case, in my case, you know, my son's, you know, he's pretty damn good. He starts winning, and then you're like, all right, well, let's go to this tournament. He wins that one, and then by the time you know it, you've traveled the whole damn country, you know. And but now I'm starting, you know, and now I'm like, all right, well, listen, man, you know, I got to go to Tulsa. Maybe I got to go to Super 32. You know, I got to go to, you know, maybe the Freestyle and Greco Nationals, and you start picking, and that's where I'm at as a dad right now. You know, you start picking the ones that, you know, and back, you know, really basically to what you're saying, we got to be a lot more selective with the tournament. That's me. I you know, I've made a decision to not go to every single damn tournament, you know, and again, that's part of the growth as a dad and understanding it. And again, hearing it from you and the way they do it over there, obviously it makes sense, you know, and obviously it works. So, all right. So when you're in school, you're 9 years old. We talked about the tournaments. So you wake up in the morning. What time do you wake up in the morning? At 9 years old, you're by yourself. You're not seeing your family. You're only seeing them on the weekends. You wake up in the morning. What happens? What do you do first?
We wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning or 5:45 right. in the sports school. We have breakfast and then like there is 2 different times. Like you're gonna practice for 2 years, and then they switch. You're going to school in the morning and practicing in the afternoon.
Okay.
So 2 years practicing in the morning, and then 2 years going to classes in the morning and practicing in the afternoon.
So you're wrestling. It's wrestling in the morning and wrestling in the afternoon, or is it strength and conditioning and then wrestling? What is it exactly?
Well, my coach was crazy. Like the normal system is like if you have to practice in the morning, you're going to practice in the morning. You finish practice before 12. Go take a shower. Get ready. Go to school. We don't go to school. Like we don't spend a long time in school. We go to school from 12 to 5 hours.
12 to 5. Okay.
Yeah, and then after.
So sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt. Hold on. So you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You wrestle. You train for how much? From 6 a.m. You eat breakfast. You start training what at 7?
Yeah, yeah. You start training at 7, and sometimes you're gonna have two practice in the morning. So you're gonna start practicing at 7, the conditioning section, and then the wrestling section.
Okay.
So you're gonna practice at 7. You finish at 8:30, and then you start your second practice at 10, and you finish before 12. You go have lunch, take a shower, get ready for school, go to school, to school for 5 hours, and then after school, go back to the wrestling room, train.
Till what
and
time?
go-
Till what time? So you get finish school at 5. You to train in the afternoon. Let's say at 6 o'clock. Till what time?
Yeah, you start like 5:30 after school, and then
So finish
you
school,
kinda
finish school,
finish.
go change, and go straight to practice.
Yeah, like 6. You finish at 6:30, 7, sometimes.
6:37. Then you eat, go to sleep.
And then you eat and go to sleep or go to the dorms, hang out with your friends,
Right.
do whatever you want.
See, and here's the thing. So I understand that kids now there is a lot of tournaments, right? But again, I'm thinking as a dad, right? So one thing that I try to monitor with my kid is how much practice, how much time do we spend practicing, right? How much is too much time training, you know? So it seems like the Cuban system is a little bit different than the American system, where all right, there's more tournaments than there is practice. In your case, we're looking at what, 8 hours of practice a day, 6 hours of practice a day.
Oh, I don't know. You're gonna, yeah, maybe not every day. Like we don't practice. Like we do just one practice on Wednesdays.
Okay. So Wednesday's a
And
light day,
then
right? Wednesday's
the
a
hardest practice in the week is on Wednesday, but it's just one practice.
Right.
Like 2 hours practice, but the hardest practice.
A lot of live wrestling.
A lot of life lessons.
So
Hey, warm up, get ready. You know, like we don't compete a lot in Cuba, but we wrestle against each other a lot.
Right.
Getting ready for the tournaments.
Right. So in a 2 hour practice, you might see I don't know, 1 hour of live, 1 hour of technique. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Like we warm up for 20 minutes. Then we do some technique drilling, and then after drill we wrestle live.
Wrestle live for an hour.
Yeah, for an hour.
For an
Changing partners, wrestling from this position, wrestling from this.
So it's
position.
situational. It's really situational. Situational drilling. Situational live, not just live on the feet and go wrestle. It's a lot of situational. You got the leg and start from the leg, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
And wrestle a lot.
And work your way there. Right. So interesting. All right. So you're 9 years old. At what time? So at what age do you start competing in the junior level, like at the actual national, where you start taking, when the team starts going out and competing against other countries?
At the junior level or senior?
Junior.
So junior level from 16 to 18. No, from 15 years old to 18 years old.
Right.
You're a junior in Cuba.
You're a junior.
In here in USA, you from 16 to 20 years old, you're a junior.
Yeah. They have the cadet. I always get confused with this. I wish I had a couple of my buddies here to help me out with it. I think it's cadet and
cadet
and what's
junior
the other one?
and senior.
Yeah. So you go to the province, you compete in the province, you compete in the nationals, you win in the nationals in your weight class, and you get selected to represent your team and start going to other countries. What's the first country you went to compete?
I went to compete?
Yeah. What's the first country?
Man, I won the national tournament 6 times, and I couldn't represent Cuba. They didn't have the money. I qualified for a lot of tournaments, and they didn't have the money to go to anywhere. So
you're saying that
I couldn't get the opportunity to represent Cuba at all. I went to Guatemala before the Junior Pan Ams for a training camp, and then that was when I left my team.
Right. So you're saying that you were the top wrestler in your weight class, your age division, etc. When 6 times, six-time national champ, and you were never able to go out and go to these different countries and compete and represent your country. Not so all the hard work really, basically, in your mind, and I understand. Obviously, it's like, hey, so what's the point of doing this if I'm doing all this hard work and I can't go represent my country, basically?
Yeah. Look, some people ask me because I lost one match. I lost one match in 7 years.
Wow.
Competing at the national level. I won all the national tournaments when I was cadet, at the cadet level. And my first junior year, I lost against a Pan Am champion. And then the next year, I beat him 10-0. I beat him 10-0. Yeah, I take him.
¿Cuál es el nombre de él? ¿Con quién fue?
A él le dicen Oriente. A él le dicen Oriente. Sí, porque vive en Santiago, Cuba. He lives in Santiago de Cuba.
¿Y el nombre de él, cuál es el nombre?
No sabe, le decían Oriente, dice. El nombre que le pusieron.
Oriente, yo creo que es Jurieski, es de Santiago de Cuba.
Yeah.
And then I beat the guy who beat me in my first junior year. I beat him, and he was coming really, really strong. Because he won 6 national tournaments. No, he won 5 national tournaments, and then he didn't want to wrestle anymore, and I kept wrestling. I won my last junior year, and then I went to compete at the senior level, because people are confused here about my age, because in Cuba we got a different system. In USA, you wrestle at the junior level until you're 20 years old. Now in Cuba, we don't. It doesn't work like that. In Cuba, you wrestle at the junior level until you're 18 years old, and after 18, you have to wrestle at the senior level. So when I turned 18 years old, I won my last junior national title, and I went to wrestle at the senior level, and I won the senior national tournament.
Right, and then so if you would have stayed, you would have probably gone represented in the Olympics, right? In what year? I would have been this year, pretty much.
Yeah, this year.
Right, and your dream now is go start at Ohio State. Start wrestling, and then the next Olympics represent the United States, correct?
Yeah, that's my dream. That's my greatest dream, and I want to bring my family to USA now. Yeah. I want them to enjoy this country too. This is the.
Don't make me cry, bro. Don't make me cry, bro. Come on. Try not to cry here.
Beautiful country.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So all right. So you start. Now here's the interesting part. Now, so you say to yourself, when did you start thinking, hey, I can't do this anymore? I want to wrestle at the highest level. When did you start? When you went to Guatemala, did that thought come into your head when you were in Guatemala, or were you already thinking about it when you were in Cuba? Like, hey, man, I got to get out of here.
Man, I didn't think about it, because when I was in Cuba, I was like. Well, my family is really close, and I never thought about leaving my family, leaving my country, my team, because I don't know. I love Cuba. I love my Cuban people. I mean, like, when you have a friend in Cuba, that friend is like your brother. You can tell because you're Cuban too. And so when I went to Guatemala, I love wrestling. That's my first priority here. In my life, my first priority is wrestling. So I went to Guatemala, and I saw that Guatemala had better conditions than Cuba, and I was like, how is this possible for that? Like, we're one of the best countries in the world. We got one of the best systems. I don't know. We don't have conditions, but we still win the tournaments.
Yeah.
And then that was when I started thinking about leaving my team, and I wanted to get more opportunities, and I wanted to shine. I wanted for people to get to know who I am, because in Cuba you don't get that opportunity. I mean,
you got to be careful what you say, how you say it. Maybe even this interview here would be very, very difficult if we were in Cuba. I would have to be careful what questions I ask and how I ask it, and you got to be careful what you say if anything becomes negative, and listen, and I know it, and I understand it, and it's something that people don't, even though I wasn't raised there, the stories and just the feelings and the reason why we came to this country. Listen, Alexis, I came to this country on a boat. right? I came to this country in the Mariel boat lift, right? But my boat was like a 50-foot shrimp boat. Alexis, which is the other face that you see here, came to this country on like a 20-foot boat with like 25 people, you know? So, you know, it's one of those things that you don't realize how bad, you know, you people want to leave. Imagine wanting to leave a place so bad that you jump in. Like the story, Alexis has a crazy story how, you know, they made the boat. They made the boat out of wood. Okay, so just imagine that, because I have a boat, I have a fishing boat, and I'm scared to go on it, and it's a professional boat with a beautiful engine, and it's a brand new boat, and I don't go out too deep because I get scared. So imagine making a boat out of wood. Y el motor era una rastra, no? The engine was
The engine was a Russian before tractor. It's
a Russian tractor.
Vehicle that, yeah, Russian tractor that we used to work in the field and everything. Yeah.
Right. So you make a boat out of wood. Okay. Then you get a tractor, a Russian tractor, which makes it a little bit more interesting. And you start telling people, hey, who wants to come? And all of a sudden you went from Cuba to Ecuador, right?
No, we went from Cuba to Honduras.
Honduras, right. So imagine jumping on a boat, 24 people on a 20-foot boat, 4 nights at sea, 4 nights, right?
No, 10 nights.
10 nights at sea. 10 nights at sea.
10 nights because that engine, we recapped that engine too. You know, we put new, no las piezas, tú sabes.
Right. No, yeah. You refurbish the engine.
Yeah. The engine started to lose oil because like a screw or something wasn't tight enough, and they start to lose oil.
Right. So imagine being in the middle of the ocean, at night, and the screw on the engine, and the screw on the engine.
People think my story is crazy. That's not even crazy.
There's crazy stories out there. Yeah. So all of a sudden, he's 10 nights at sea. There's one guy that they were rotate. This is a story that Alexis was telling me the other day at the gym. There was one guy that his job was to take water out of the boat, right?
No. Everybody had to do that.
Oh,
every day
you had to rotate.
We put someone to we rotate. Every day someone had to take out the water out the boat, you know. We had two drivers. But was very. I never be in a position like that. I thought I never would be in that position. Like you know, in any moment you can lose your life.
Yeah, and did you have a really good GPS? Did you have a really good GPS, Alexis?
We have a compass.
Yeah, I knew the answer to that.
No
GPS.
No compass, no GPS. It's like how you call the brújula?
And a compass, yeah, compass. Una brújula, a compass.
A compass, exactly.
That's all you had
compass.
At night, a compass in the middle of the night.
Yeah, imagine in a moment we lose the engine, you know, and we put a sail. Put the sail, just with the windy, and you have to keep driving.
Right. So when you lost the engine, you guys had made a sail, right? And then so you basically made it to land with the sail.
No, we already have it. We already have it. We put it. We have it. We already have it. The sail just in case, you know. Just in case something happens, we have to use it. We use it. We have to do it, you know. But then we pass for Cayman, Brac, and Grand Cayman. The 3 islands. In Cayman Brac, they gave us food, they gave us fuel, medicine, and we keep going. That the only shark that I saw in the whole trip was in.
Oh yeah, Cayman. You saw one shark, yeah.
Then when Yeah, one shot. The other people said that they saw a lot when I was asleep. They said that.
First of all, I don't even know how you fall asleep in that situation.
Surrounding the boat. When we passed Grand Cayman, they told us, "Hey, don't keep going because a storm is coming. You're gonna lose your life because a big storm is coming. But if you go to the Grand Cayman and you put your feet in Grand Cayman, like ground, you go to Cuba." And we say, "Okay, we prefer die than come back to Cuba." And we keep going. And when the night was falling, you start to feel the windy harder and harder and harder. And man, the waves were around 8-10 meters.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. So you're in a wooden boat. You're in a wooden boat. 20-something people on a boat. You're with a sail because your engine is failing, and all of a sudden there's, 10-foot waves, let's call it, and you guys are just, and one of the things that because you needed to land in Honduras, just like Anthony needed to go to Mexico, you needed to land in Mexico because once you land there, then you could ask for asylum, correct? That's the reason why Anthony had to go to Mexico and why you had to be in Honduras, right?
No, Honduras. We went to Honduras because Honduras doesn't have a system of, they don't are monitoring the coast. They don't have border patrol or
So
and
it was easy to get into.
Trade with Cuba. They don't have trade with Cuba to send people back to Cuba. They don't have those trades that other countries have with Cuba. Then when we arrived to Honduras to a beach called Miami. Imagine. And we arrived to Honduras. Was a place called Miami Beach, but in Spanish, Playa Miami.
Wow.
That was hard. Was very hard. Then when you arrive to Honduras, I have to pass all the same stuff that Anthony passed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
I
remember.
Anthony.
Yeah, I remember you telling me the story, which is similar to what Anthony, what I saw in the Flow Wrestling documentary, which is excellent. Amazing props to the Flow Wrestling guys. It was a beautiful job there. But you start, imagine going through all of that and then understand that at any point there your life is in danger. I know that when Alexis landed on the beach, you see some people on the beach, you don't know those guys are going to kill you or not. And in your particular case, Anthony, you were getting transported. It's two different dangers. The danger with Alexis is if you made it in the ocean. How many Cubans? There's thousands and thousands of Cubans that died at sea, and how many have died on the trip. So people don't. That's another thing that I wanted to get, in part of the documentary that I saw, and just the story, because again, being Cuban, you hear the stories, how many people have died at sea, how many people they saw their friends being eaten by a shark, how many people after a couple days or 5 or 10 days in the ocean, they go crazy and they jump on the water, and in your case, Anthony, there was one thing in the Flow Wrestling that you said, look, if I don't have the money to pay, I'm going to die. And you got to understand, in a lot of those countries, they don't give a shit who you are. It doesn't matter. I'm sure there's no wrestling fans in the jungle. You know what I mean?
At that point, they don't care.
They don't care. How many takedowns you had in your last tournament or anything like that. If you don't pay the money, you're going to die. And again, I got to think as a father, because at the end of the day, you're a man, but you were pretty damn close to being a kid at that point, and being in jail and being the 2 months in jail. And one thing again that they mentioned in the documentary, the danger, the clothes that you guys were wearing, and and one thing I kind of, I laughed because I was like, oh shit, that's tough. Hey, Comanda.
Todo bien, lo que se escucha como que un poco bajito.
¿Me oyes a mí bajito?
Sí, no, ahora sí te escucho bien, ahora sí.
Ok, bueno, vamos a terminar en inglés. Dame unos 3 o 4, 5 minutos más o menos y vamos a cambiar para español. ¿Ok?
Right, okay.
Dale. Y si, bueno, si quieres hablar inglés, si estás practicando en inglés, métele mano.
No, sí, pero o sea, un poco, no, little English.
All right. Yeah, so I just told him right now we're gonna we're having Ovetti on because I want to talk to him because when I get to the part of when everybody living together and the sports academy and how they mix all the different sports together, all the combat sports, I definitely want to talk about that, and I want to talk about his journey too. So we're including him in here. So I'm gonna finish up with Anthony. Hopefully Anthony can stay with us, but I understand if he has to leave. So Anthony, you're in that trip. You're in that jail. How in danger were you in that jail? Because again, a lot of people die in the jungle, and a lot of people die in jail. So when you're in there, I mean, look, at least you could defend yourself. Somebody comes at you, you could you could double leg them and slam them on their head. But at the end of the day, you're in a very, very dangerous place. It's the truth. People don't consider wrestling a martial art, but it's a martial art. So how in danger did you feel inside the jail? How bad was that?
Wow, think about it. I was 18 years old, being in jail around, all the old people, 35, 40 years old. Yeah. And I was the youngest kid in jail. Yeah. I was the youngest guy in jail.
And you have I got the uniform that says, "Hey, I'm a nice guy," because they have the uniforms.
Wearing blue clothes.
Right. So for those of you who didn't watch the Flow Wrestling documentary, if you're wearing blue clothes, that means you're not dangerous. If you were wearing orange clothes, that means you're there for killing somebody or murdering somebody. So, but you're all in the same place, correct?
In the same place.
Yeah, you're all in the same place. So you're in the same place, but that's the nice guy over there, right?
So the only reason, because I want to explain it, the only reason I went to jail was because detention center for immigrants was closed, because there was a lot of people already in detention center, so they didn't have capacity for more people. That's why I went to jail. But as soon as I passed my interview, they sent me back to detention center. When I was in detention center, I was feeling like home,
Yeah. That was easy.
Oh, that was easy. That was like if I was at the sports school.
Yeah, right.
I saw a lot of Cubans. Everything was open. You could talk to your friend next to you. You could see a lot of beds next to each other. You know what I mean? And it was easy, but in jail was crazy, man. You could.
So how long were you? So you were in jail for 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months, and then 1 month
in the detention center. So how in danger did you feel there? I mean, were you worried all day? Like shit, I know you mentioned in the when you were with the guys that were transporting you, you were like, dude, I didn't even sleep because I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. I don't know who these guys are. I don't know if they're gonna kill me. So how did that work?
Well, when they were driving me to jail, I was going all shackled. Man, my legs, my body.
Like a murderer, like a murderer.
Oh yeah, bro. If I killed somebody.
Yeah. The only difference between you and a murderer is just the blue shirt or the blue clothes that you're wearing. That's it. Everything else, the same food, the same place, the same cells, the same everything.
Treat you the same, same thing. No, I was feeling in danger the whole time. Because the environment, you feel in danger the whole time. Like you're in jail because you're trying to get into the USA, but you see other people. Oh, that guy is here because he was selling drugs, and the other guy over there, he's here because he killed 3 guys. You know, and you're like, oh my God, why did I do what I did? But now I know that it's worth it.
Yeah. But at that point, you don't know it's worth it. At that point, you don't know it's worth it. At that point, you're like, what the hell am I doing here? Did I do the right decision?
Yeah. At that point, it's crazy. I have a friend that passed through jail, and he couldn't handle it. He asked for the deportation.
He said like, I want to go back to Cuba. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Just send me back.
Yeah, because it's not everybody. Man, you gotta have big balls to pass through jail and spend 3-4.
So wait a second. So you could have. So you were there for 2 months, but at any point you could have been like, hey, I tap out, send me back. I don't care.
Yeah, like if you give up, man, you say no, I can't handle it anymore. I want to go back to Cuba.
See, I didn't know that. So you had the choice to be like, hey, just send me back, and you were like, no.
That's their work.
Right.
They get paid. And like they're trying the whole time. They're trying to send you back to Cuba.
Oh, so they want to
go
make it as
yourself.
difficult as possible so that you could quit and go back to Cuba.
Oh yeah, like they go to your cell and they say, hey, we want to have an interview with you. So you go to the interview room and they start talking to you. Man, you don't have to be here. Like, you could be spending this time
Holy
right now
shit.
with your family in Cuba, but you decide to come here. Don't make it more difficult for you.
Really?
Because you're not gonna be able to get out. They tell you that you're not gonna be able to get out. You're gonna spend a long time here. So
That's
give
crazy.
up, and you're gonna be with your family in about 3 days. So sign this letter right
Sign this
here,
letter
sign
and that's
this
it, and you can
letter
go
right
home.
here.
Right, and you're there with
I
your
have a friend,
family.
he was a wrestler. I have a friend who was a wrestler. He wrestled for the national team. He defected his team when he was in Mexico. He passed through jail, and he couldn't support.
Yeah, la
Bro,
presión.
he couldn't stay. He couldn't stay, and he asked for the letter. He
Right.
signed the letter in 3 days. Boom, back to Cuba.
Back to Cuba, and that's it. Right.
Yeah, that's
But when you get to
He
Cuba, you go to
lost.
jail too, though. When you go to Cuba, you're in jail, but at least you're in jail in Cuba, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's now. I mean, I don't know how it works, but that guy lost his future. What is he gonna do? He was a great wrestler.
Yeah.
In Cuba, he wanted a better future, but what is he gonna do now?
Yeah.
Because he's not gonna be able to represent Cuba anymore.
Yeah.
And what is he gonna do? He's not gonna be able to go to university and graduate.
Yeah.
Because he defected the Cuban team, trying to come to USA. Man, that's crazy.
So when you get out, you get out through they finally let you out. You go to the detention center and you get to the United States. What is, because I see, I've been there. I've picked a lot of people up from the airport in Cuba. I mean, in Miami, I picked people from the airport and showed them Miami, right? So I've been there. Like the first time a Cuban sees the United States, you know,
Wow.
I see the look when they go to the mall for the first time, when they see the streets, coño, que limpio está todo, everything is so clean, and I've seen the shock that being in the United States. So what is it that you saw, the biggest thing that you're like, wow, really, like this is so different? What did you see in the United States that just shocked you, that freaked you out?
I mean, like everything is so clean. Like United States great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bent the knee when I was sleeping at the detention center. I was sleeping and somebody called me out. Hey, Anthony Echemendía, you got a meeting with your attorney. So I went to talk to my attorney, because to get out of detention center, your family have to send letters. I don't know if you know about it, but you have to send letters. Your family needs to send letters.
They have to claim you. They have to claim you. Reclamarte. Right.
Yeah,
so somebody has to say, all right, I'm
you.
in charge. I'm responsible for Anthony. If anything happens, I'm responsible. I'm signing off that I'm responsible for Anthony.
Yeah.
Right.
So my family did all that stuff, and I was just waiting to see what was gonna happen. And when they called me out, hey, the attorney wants to talk to you about some stuff. I don't know. I went to talk to my attorney, and my attorney told me, hey, we're gonna let you go, man. Congratulations, man. When my attorney told me that, I bent the knee in front of my attorney. Man,
you
thank
cried?
you so much.
You cried?
Oh, I cried.
Yeah, of course.
I cried.
Of course.
My dream becoming true. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. So you go from where's the detention center? What country is it? In the United States?
No. Yeah, in the United States.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
So then the first time you go out is in what state? Where were you when you were in the?
I was in New Mexico. New Mexico is not. It's not.
Oh shit! Oh, you hung up by mistake. You know how to get them back? Oye, entonces, bueno, mientras que cogemos a Anthony, entonces tú eres campeón nacional, me dijo Alexi, ¿cuántas veces? ¿De Cuba?
No, de mayor una sola vez.
¿De mayor una sola vez? ¿Y de chamaco? ¿De niño?
De niño soy campeón nacional 4 veces o 5 veces.
¿Y en qué edad empezaste?
Empecé exactamente, ¿sabes? Yo estuve con 8 años, de 8 a 9 años me pasé ese año, tú sabes, sí. Estuve, ¿sabes? Pero como un hobby, ¿me entiendes? Como un, ¿sabes? Entrenando en casa, tú sabes, mis cositas, pero bueno. Después, en realidad sí empecé con 9 años en boxeo.
Con 9 años, pues. Okay. All right. Dame un segundito. Déjame terminar con. Okay. So Anthony, the
I don't know what happened.
No, I know what happened. You press the button. So.
Oh, I pressed my AirPod.
Yeah. So when you got to all right. So you get to the United States. Tell me about high school, man. Tell me about the difference between when you get to high school there. What's the difference between high school and Cuba and high school in the United States?
Well, I mean, like we got a different system in Cuba. Like in Cuba, if you're a good athlete, como decimos en Cuba, ellos te pasan la mano. Yo pari te puedo decir.
Te pasan la mano.
Si tú eres
te pasaron la mano a ti también, already.
Ellos te pasan la mano, ¿me entiendes?
Yeah, that means let me translate. Pasaron la mano means they make it easy for you, and that happens in the United States too. If you're a good athlete, you get the easiest classes. They kind of like they make sure you pass. So hey, listen, it happens in the United States too. It absolutely happens here too. Yeah.
So, but no, I mean the difference here in USA, man. I'm alone in this country. So I went to high school because I want to do big things here. I want to graduate from college, get my college degree because I know that's really important here in the United States. So I decided to go to high school, and I saw that it's way different here. It's everything organized. Man, you need to take this class. No, it's not like, oh, I want to take this one because I think this one's easier. No, you need to get these courses. You need to have good grades to compete. That's another thing. Right. That's why I couldn't compete. That's why I couldn't compete when I started my high school season because I didn't have good grades. I was coming from Cuba. I think I'm smart because to learn a different language
I tell you what, bro. You speak perfect.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, the English. I mean, listen, you did the right thing. You moved. If you were in Miami right now, you would still not be speaking English. I guarantee you that. Because in Miami, you don't have to speak English. You can spend your whole life. I know people that have lived there 30, 40 years and they don't speak English. So in Miami, you can live the whole time, So yeah, you're over there. You have no choice. You have to speak English.
I didn't have a choice. Right. So the difference was that in Cuba, if you're the good wrestler of the team, you're gonna compete for sure because the team needs you.
Right.
But here in USA, they don't care. Like if you don't have good grades, you're not gonna compete. So they force you to have good grades, get focused in school.
Yeah.
But also they want you to do well in wrestling. So it's different.
Right.
That's why that's a thing that. I don't know.
What?
It was hard for me because I was the niño lindo in the team.
Yeah. A niño lindo. How do I translate niño lindo? That's like it's like the superstar, huh? The golden child. Yeah, the golden child. That where things are. They make things easy for you. So you come over here and and by the way, I'm telling you right now that you got it. It was hard, but you still had it easier than the regular kids. I'm sure because I'm sure they put you with the nicest teachers. Because listen, I play basketball and I was nowhere near as good as you are in wrestling and basketball. And I had 4 PE classes my senior year. So out of 6 classes, 4 of them were PE. So they make it easier for you. But why'd you pick Ohio State?
Well, a lot of people ask me, that's a good question. And a lot of people ask me the same question. So I went to Iowa's first college. I committed to Iowa State. I mean, I didn't commit like that. That wasn't a legal, that wasn't the national letter of intent. So I didn't sign anything. That was just a paper with some words.
Right.
And some people were tagging Cheva on me. Oh, that guy went to Iowa State and now he wants to do the other official visits. But that wasn't real. And I'm alone in this country, so I don't know how the college things works. So, man, think about coming from Cuba, seeing the Cuban wrestling room, and then going to high school. And the high schools here, got really good wrestling rooms. But I think better than Cuba. when I went to college, I saw the difference.
You saw the level?
So
You mean the level of wrestling?
Yeah, the level of wrestling and the difference between college wrestling room and high school wrestling room,
Yeah,
and
because
Cuba wrestling room, because I saw, man.
you saw that. You saw the
Good
Cuban room.
wrestling
You saw the Cuban Olympic room. You saw the high school room, and you saw the college room. And you're saying,
when I went,
Yeah.
when I went to that college, to Iowa State, I thought it was the best place in the United States.
right?
And I told my coaches, because I didn't know that I could go to five official visits.
Right.
I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about college, folk style. When I got here, I thought I was gonna wrestle freestyle. When I went to college, my first tournament, I was throwing people, and
Right.
the referee was like, "Hey, stop!
Right,
What are you doing? Stalling!" I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm
Yeah,
wrestling."
and that's one of the questions. What do you like about folk style in comparison to freestyle, or do you still have you fallen in love with folk style a little bit, or are you still like, nah, man, I'm a freestyle guy? You know, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not gonna fall in love with folk style. That's not gonna happen. To be honest, that's not gonna happen.
How did I
love
know you were
freestyle.
gonna answer that? All
I
right.
love freestyle, but I wanna get my college degree.
Yeah.
I want to have that opportunity. I want to keep that door open, and to be able to wrestle in college, you have to wrestle folk style.
Yeah.
And I love to wrestle in front of 15,000 people, 10,000 people.
I have a feeling you're gonna
And
figure it out, and you're gonna like it a little bit more, and you're gonna be very good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So,
Well, to answer your question, I decided to go to Ohio State because, man, when I went to Ohio State, they showed me everything. Like, if you graduate from Ohio State, you're gonna get a really good degree. Like, Ohio State Nation is really big, and you're gonna get a lot of opportunities, good jobs. Because I'm not thinking just about wrestling. I wanna graduate. I wanna get a good job after wrestling. I'm not gonna be able to wrestle my whole life. That's why I went to Ohio State, because they have a good academic program and they have a good wrestling program. And the last Olympic champion for USA was from Ohio State, so Kyle Snyder. That's another reason. And
interesting.
they're doing the good things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I went to Ohio State.
And what's the hardest thing for you for the adjustment with folk style and freestyle? Is it the top bottom position, the referee position? What is it that you're like, shit, man, this is the top bottom. That's my favorite part. And again, I'm not a wrestler and everything, but like, again, I'm the guy who's fallen in love with it and everything like that. I love the top bottom. To me is the art of the
folk style.
Yeah, it's just, man, it's I see my son and drilling it and the details, and I seen that it wins matches. It's the way you score. And again, man, I'm either the best guy to ask about it or the worst guy to ask about it, because again, I'm not a wrestler, so I'm looking at it from the outside in. You know what I mean? So sometimes my opinion is like, it's refreshing, and sometimes you're like, no, this guy's an idiot. Don't listen to this guy. He doesn't know wrestling.
If you know how to wrestle top and bottom in folk style, it's really important. Like, you can be losing a match for like 10 points different.
Yeah, and then get out and reverse it. Yeah.
If you're a killer on top, it doesn't matter if you're losing by 10 points.
Yeah.
If you're a killer on top, nobody can stop your techniques. You're gonna win. So
yeah.
I have to get better on top and bottom. Well, I mean, I don't care about top.
You feel good about top, right?
No, I don't care about top, because I think like, if I get in that position, I'm not gonna wrestle. I'm just gonna leave the guy and wrestle on my feet, because I feel really comfortable wrestling on my feet. But I have to get better on bottom.
Right.
How to get out, how to skate.
Yeah.
I need to get better.
Yeah, because usually in freestyle, you stall, you flatten out, you stall, yeah, and then you get up. So that's different. So I'm sure that's gonna be an adjustment. Overi, ¿estás ahí? Okay. Yeah. So I want to get to the part where in a perfect world, I wanted to get you guys at the end here, and I wanted to ask about what I think makes a Cuban wrestler, maybe like a Russian wrestler, and a little bit different. You know, listen, I love the American system, and listen, you know, it's amazing. And again, I'm seeing my son grow up in it and everything like that. It's a beautiful thing. I just like to see, you know, what works, what makes these different countries work, and what makes these different countries different, you know. And the stories that I've heard, what's different here in the United States is that my kid goes to school, goes to a night school, right? Then goes to practice, right? You guys had to live in a place with all the combat athletes in one house, basically. That has to be crazy. And that, I think, has a large part to do with the mentality of the Cuban athlete. That has to be insane. Like, I'm thinking dropping my son off in a place, and then you got the boxers. Entonces, Ojeri, estoy diciendo que entiendes esa parte, ¿no? ¿Te la traduzco?
Sí, entendí esa parte.
Okay, so I've heard stories, you know, so I'm sure you guys are fighting on a regular basis, right?
No, you can't ask us body, like between boxers, wrestlers, the guys who do judo,
right?
All the combat sports, bro. We're always
Taekwondo,
karate,
fighting to decide who's the boss. Oh,
right.
I'm the strongest. This is the strongest sport.
Okay, so what sport wins? So what sport wins? ¿Quién gana? Los boxeadores, los luchadores. Who's the toughest guys? Because that's one thing I want to. That's why I wanted both of you here.
Like, we don't fight. We don't. He can tell you, like, we respect each other a lot.
The boxers and the boxers and the wrestlers.
Yeah, we don't fight.
Oh, really?
He can tell you, like, we don't fight. Like, we respect each other because we know.
Right.
Because he knows that wrestlers are dangerous, but the wrestlers also know that the boxers are dangerous. So we keep the space, you know.
Right. I rather. Dime.
Es lo que dice antes, ¿no sabes? En la corta un luchador te va, lógico, te desaparece.
Right.
Bueno,
te recoge y te tira y te trae.
Lo que yo estoy diciendo es que yo dije fue que los luchadores y los boxeadores se respetan, porque los luchadores sabemos que el boxeo, nosotros sabemos que el boxeo es un deporte peligroso. Pero ustedes también saben que la lucha es un deporte peligroso, por eso nosotros nos respetamos.
Es lo que le quiero decir, tú sabes, todo depende, ¿me entiendes? De muchas cosas, pero bueno, eso nunca se ha puesto a prueba porque por muchas cosas, pero bueno, es que tú sabes.
Bueno, el UFC prueba eso también, pero también depende del boxeador y depende del
claro, y también esa es la pregunta que todo el mundo siempre hace, ¿no? ¿Quién gana tu lucha en un boxeador? Y la respuesta siempre va a ser la misma. Todo depende, ¿me entiendes? Es como todo, tú sabes.
Ese tipo de peleas, Jesús, donde más se ven es a nivel de Eide, que son más niños, ¿tú sabes? A nivel de Eide, porque ellos no la piensan mucho para soltar las manos. Pero ya cuando empiezan a crecer, que están en la EPA, equipo nacional y eso, ya el respeto es mayor, porque ya
somos una familia.
Ya están creciendo. Ya.
Okay,
pero cuando están en la EIDE, sí se ven malas peleas de luchadores, boxeadores, judokas, taekwondokas, por una novia, por cualquier cosa.
I'm gonna translate that. So you know what he's saying is that in the EIDE, el EIDE hasta qué edad? Until what age is the EIDE?
Hasta los 20 años más o menos, que tú pasas para la academia también, ¿no?
Right.
Tú puedes pasar para la academia.
Sí, ¿sabes? 18, 20, ¿sabes? Por ahí más o menos.
Lo que pasa es que en mi época la EIDE era hasta los 16, 17 años, 15, 16 años. De ahí va para la EPA, pero eso lo han cambiado, ya lo han unido.
Sí, exactamente, ¿sabes? Ahora, ¿sabes? Más, ¿entiendes?
Right, so what he's saying is...
Osvaldo fue para la EPA más jovencito, yo creo. Yo sí estuve ahí más o menos. Yo estuve más tiempo en la EPA.
No, yo fui cuando tuve, ¿sabes? 14 años. Yo fui ya.
Sí, tú fuiste más jovencito para...
Right, so what he's saying is, look, you know, when you're in the A, there, it's, you know, usually a kid. Then they send you to the ESPA, which is the, I guess, the more senior level of the sports academy. Dime, Alexi.
The ESPA they went to the ESPA national team. It's every sport in Cuba have ESPA in Havana, Cuba, the capital, where every sport have facility center when they train boxer, wrestler, judo, track and field, volleyball, basketball, everybody. In Havana, they call it Espa Nacional.
Yeah, like when you're an outstanding athlete, they send you to the ESPA. So you go to the ESPA. You won like 3 national titles. You can go to the ESPA. It's like the national team for juniors, and after the ESPA, you can go to the national team for seniors.
Right. All right.
That's
so
how it works.
Anthony, I would like to ask you, how was for you being a kid? You arrived to the Cuban national team at age of 16. And I know that in Cuba, boxing team, wrestling team are the most, I can see dangerous places because the ¿cómo se dice la atmósfera, Jesús?
El ambiente, the environment.
The environment in there, because wrestler, boxer, they fighting for a status in the team. You know, you get better food, you get better room with AC, maybe internet. If you are the best guy, if you go to win Panam, you go to win gold medal in the world champion or whatever in the Olympics. But for a kid at 16 years old, arrive with all those monsters, already men, Olympic champion, world champion, Panam champions. They don't care if you have 16 years old. They just gonna go to pass over you. You know, how was for you be dealing every day, fighting, wrestling with those guys like Bonne, Calabaza, etc. You know?
Well, I mean, I went to the national team when I was 16 years old, and I had to deal with all those guys. I had to wrestle. I was 16 years old, and I was wrestling against 35 years old.
Like who? Like give us names. Like who were you wrestling on a regular basis?
Jolly Bonne, Olympic world champion, Calabaza, multiple times world medalist, Pan Am champion. I was wrestling against all those guys, and I was 16 years old. So the age, well, like when you're over 16, that it doesn't matter. Like, because in Cuba, you're gonna have to wrestle against. If you're 16 and you wanna wrestle at the senior level, you're gonna have to wrestle against Olympic and world champions. So that's not an excuse for me. Because when I got to this country, a lot of people complaining about my age. I think I was 19 years old. Okay, if I'm wrestling against you and you're 18, I'm just 1 year older than you.
Yeah, right. And in Cuba, you're doing 5 years, 10 years.
You don't see what I passed through. Because when I was in Cuba, I was 16 years old in the national team, wrestling against 35, 37, 38, 25, any age.
Yeah, and they don't take it easy on you. They go as hard or harder.
They're gonna kill you. They want to keep their spot.
Right. So and they don't care.
Fighting.
And they don't. What they don't want to lose to is a kid. You know, they want to make sure. Yeah.
That's another thing that they don't see. Like here in USA, is different.
You know,
like you can.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There is a lot of RTCs, like regional training centers here in USA, but in Cuba it's not like that. Like if you're a top guy in the country, you go to just one place, the national team.
Right.
So all the best wrestlers in the nation are training together, right. And that's like a war. You see, okay, I want to keep my spot. I'm the first guy.
Who was the guy who was the hardest on you? Who was the guy who was the biggest dick? Who was the guy that he was just mean?
Jolly Bonne, man. When I got to the national team, I was Jolly Bonne's weight class.
Right.
And I have to, but when I turned 18 years old, before I defect Cuba, I beat him up. I beat him.
Right.
And I was 18 years old.
Right. Not a lot of people know that. Right. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, Ovedi, one of the things that I want to ask, how does it work with the food? Because I from what I've heard, I heard it in the Joe Rogan interview, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk more about. What if you win you go to another place that has better food, right? So if you're a champion, you go to a whole different section that has better food. Entonces, ustedes, cuando el que gana va a un lugar completamente diferente, que coge mejor comida, más comida, the whole thing. Tell me a little bit about that. Dime, Ojeri, ¿cómo funciona eso?
Por lo menos, un ejemplo, no sé cómo funcionará con, ¿sabes? La lucha, pero en el boxeo, en los dos lugares que he estado en canciones nacionales, tanto como juvenil como el de mover, era así, ¿me entiendes? Por ejemplo, si eras el, ¿sabes? Como decir la primera figura, ¿sabes? El que más se destacaba, el que siempre ganaba, el que siempre, ¿sabes? Como decir el que más, ¿me entiendes? El que sobresaltaba entre los demás. Siempre era como un estímulo, ¿me entiendes? ¿Sabes? Te llevaban a comer.
Pero es más comida. So he's telling me that, yeah, that you know, it's a way for them to stimulate, you know, and to motivate you. Pero es más comida. Is it more food?
No,
better food?
No es more food, sino que es como te explico, como que era como el trato, ¿ves? La comida era, tú sabes, era más, no es lo mismo cocinar para 100 gente que para 5.
Okay.
¿Me entiendes?
Right.
Tú cocinas para 100, cocinas, tú sabes, whatever, pero tú cocinas para 5, cocinas, ¿sabes? ¿Sabes? Exacto, como debe ser, ¿me entiendes? Así
Right.
que no,
So it was more specific. So
exactamente, era algo específico para esas personas.
So what he's saying is that it's just not really, you have more food as much as that, you know, in one place they're cooking for like 100 people, and in another place they're cooking for like, you know, the small group of champions, and the food is more specific, you know, and it's better food. Anthony, entonces, so explain a little bit about that, a little bit in English. How does that work with the food thing? Because that to me amazes me, you know.
Yeah, that you were talking about. Yeah, you were right. So I don't know. Yeah, it's like the same thing between wrestling and boxing. It's like the same thing. If you have like, if you go to the world championships and you win a medal, so you immediately pass. You part of the different. I don't know how to say it, like the different comedor.
Right, the different dining room, the different dining hall.
Yeah,
dining hall.
the different dining. Yeah, yeah. So like in wrestling is way different because the normal one for like the one for everybody has like the food is, bro, it's gross, to be honest.
What's better, the jail food or the food in the sports center?
It's almost the same thing, to be honest. But man, but like the food for the champions, it's really good. It's really good.
Comida de casa.
It's es como el buffet, es como un buffet. En el Cerro Pelado, Fari te lo puede decir.
Pero Jerry está riendo también.
No, Fari te lo puede decir. Like if you go to Cerro Pelado, you for the dinner room for the champions, they can pick whatever they want. They have different choices. They have different meats. They have different fruits to pick. They can eat whatever they want. But you're the champion. You deserve it. If you want to go there, you need to fight for it. Right. You wanna go there. You wanna eat where all the champions are eating. Okay, win the world championships. Right. That's the stimulation in Cuba.
Right.
They're not okay. Maybe they're gonna give you a little bit more money. Like if you were getting paid $40, and if you win the world championships, you're gonna get paid $100.
Right.
Like $60 more.
Right. Overi, y ahora tú eres profesional ya. You're a professional already. You're a professional boxer.
Yeah. So desde el 31 de agosto ya empecé mi.
So you just became pro August 31st, right? ¿Te hiciste profesional ahora mismo o agosto 31?
Sí, de agosto 31 pues fue mi primera pelea, fue cuando empecé yo mi carrera para profesional.
¿Y cuántas peleas tú tienes en cuánto amateur?
Amateur tengo 135.
135. See, so that's because I've always heard that the Cuban boxers have like 400, 500 amateur fights. You know, and it goes back to what I was talking to Anthony about, you know, like how many amateur wrestling matches the kids here have. You know, so it's a little bit different. I think in wrestling they do a little bit less, but from every Cuban boxer that I know of here, ¿verdad, Alexi? Los boxeadores cuando llegan aquí normalmente tienen 400, 500 peleas.
Yeah, but those body is different because those body came he left Cuba with 20 years old.
Se fue jovencito.
Osvaldo won the junior world championship in Russia, 2016. Osvaldo was world champion, and he was picked like the best athlete in that tournament,
right?
2016, and then he won Cuba National Championship senior. After that, he left the island, and he went to Mexico with just 20 years old. He don't have all that background like other Cuban boxers like Rigondo, Lara, Gamboa, that they were Olympic champion, world champion. They have in Cuba more than 300, 400 fights. He came very young.
Okay.
Did you mention that Osvaldo was a junior world champion?
Yeah, really, yeah, I did.
¿Con quién competiste? Who did you win the world champion? ¿Con quién competiste en los campeonatos?
Competí ahí mi primera pelea fue con uno de Polonia.
Polonia.
Sí, Polonia.
So, ¿cuáles son los mejores equipos de boxeo del juvenil?
¿Juvenil?
Yeah.
Los que yo peleaba o los que estaban ahí en ese momento.
En general.
Bueno,
ahora mismo para ti, ¿cuáles son los mejores equipos?
Fuimos en primer lugar.
Good point.
¿Sabes? Pero bueno, en ese caso para mí los que mejores estaban en ese entonces eran, ¿sabes? Mira, Estados Unidos, tú sabes, tenía un buen equipo. Rusia, lógico, ¿sabes? Estaban en su zona, ¿no? ¿Sabes? Estaban bien también.
Fue en Rusia.
El evento fue en Rusia.
Sí, San Petersburgo, sí. ¿Sabes? Fue ahí al lado del estadio donde se hizo el mundial. Tú sabes, sí, lo que sí eran no el equipo, sino, ¿sabes? Las personas, había mucha gente que sí se destacaban entre otras, ¿me entiendes? Por peso, tú sabes. Por peso sí, habían pesos que estaban, un ejemplo, 56 kilogramos estaban muy, muy fuertes.
Right.
Para tú tener la medalla de oro, tienes que echar 6 peleas.
6 peleas.
¿Entiendes? Que eso en el amateur es algo que, wow.
En un fin de semana. En un fin de semana.
No. Fue, si mal no recuerdo, llegamos a Rusia el 16 de noviembre y nos fuimos el 26. Así eran como unos 10 días, por ahí más o menos.
Right. Interesante.
¿Sabes? Casi toda la competencia. Entonces, las competiciones en Cuba serían como una semana, por lo menos el boxeo. Siempre es de una semana. Sí, una semana. Exactamente, una semana. No es como la lucha tú peleas ahora, descansas y vos vas a pelear los judos o el karate, que tú sabes que todo se hace en 2 días. Boxeo, ¿sabes?
Es diferente, ya.
Claro, pero un poco más.
Excelente. ¿Y el peso tuyo cuál es?
El mío, ¿sabes? El now es 168.
168. Perfecto.
Yeah.
Perfecto. Bueno, pues excelente.
Osvaldo Jesús es un caso atípico porque Osvaldo es el segundo boxeador que con solo 2 peleas se le da una oportunidad de pelear por un título mundial. El primer boxeador fue Vasily Lomachenko, que peleó por un título mundial en su tercera pelea, y Osvaldo, el 11 de abril pasado, se supone que iba a pelear por el título mundial interino de la Asociación Mundial de Boxeo. Pero por el coronavirus se suspendió la pelea. Ya hoy nos informó Luis de Cuba, el promotor, para mediados de julio o principios de agosto la pelea de Osvaldo se va a efectuar.
Perfect.
Es posible que sin público, pero va a ser por un título mundial interino. Osvaldo ya está considerado entre los mejores prospectos de PBC, que es su representación, tú sabes, su agencia que los representa de boxeo, donde están boxeadores como Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence Jr., Deontay Wilder, Floyd, sus últimas peleas fue con PBC, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces él es parte de esa camada de boxeadores, de ese establo, de esa compañía PBC Boxing, que es la compañía que tiene más boxeadores ahora mismo en el mundo profesionales. Y él está ahí y está en una división, las 168 libras, donde es una de las mejores divisiones ahora mismo, donde está Canelo Álvarez, donde está Caleb Plant, David Benavides, está Germán Charlo, está hay muchos boxeadores en ese peso de él. y muchos de estos boxeadores están manejados por la misma gente que los representa a él. O sea que estas peleas son peleas que realmente se pueden dar y se van a dar en el futuro.
Claro.
Ovario solo tiene ahora 22 años.
Yeah.
Es un muchacho que entrena con una pasión extraordinaria.
¿Está viviendo ahora dónde?
Es un excelente atleta.
¿Dónde está viviendo ahora? ¿Dónde está viviendo
Aquí,
ahora?
en Minnesota, en Minneapolis.
En Minnesota.
Sí, lo enviamos para allá para que aprendiera el inglés y para que sacarlo de Miami, tú sabes.
Como Anthony, que te ha hecho un americano allá.
Hey, but he should talk about like when we were in the military in Cuba.
Oh yes,
You can
yes.
you can ask him our fights. Who won all the fights? Well, we used to fight. We used to fight against each other, and he couldn't beat me. Never, like he couldn't. That's one of his greatest dreams. That's one of his greatest dreams. He couldn't beat me. He's like 20 kilos.
¿Estás entendiendo
bigger
esto?
than me.
¿Estás entendiendo?
Papi. Está bien, yo después te llamo.
Es que tú no le podías soltar las manos como tú querías y él sí te cogía las piernas.
No, porque se dice, ¿sabes?
Hey,
No, pero, ¿sabes? No, Anthony, ¿sabes? My brother, ¿sabes? No, ¿me entiendes? No, ¿sabes? No hay, ¿cómo se dice? Como que...
Yeah,
esa
maldad.
Incluso también me enseñó mucho a luchar, ¿me entiendes? Que yo por hoy todo lo que sé en la lucha lo sé gracias a él.
Okay, so I want to ask both of you this. Quiero preguntar a los dos. MMA está en el futuro tuyo y MMA está en el futuro de ustedes. ¿Ustedes han pensado algo de MMA?
yeah, I was thinking about it.
No, desde México me lo estaba so Anthony is crazy. Desde México me decía, hey, bro, what's up, man? Y si no, ¿sabes? Estaba para la MMA.
All right, so what he's saying is that Anthony's crazy. Since Mexico, he's been talking about going into MMA. And from what I'm hearing, you used to box already, Anthony. You know how to box already from before from
well, he was
the military.
teaching me how to use my hands. He was teaching me, but
Okay.
I'm not that good at boxing. But
Right.
I want to learn, and I love to fight. When I was at the sports school, I used to fight every day. And I think it's something, I don't know. I like it. It would be fun.
Ask Anthony about his friendship with Henry Cejudo.
Oh, ¿qué tienes con Henry Cejudo? ¿Algo pasó con Henry Cejudo?
No, I wrestle Angel Cejudo.
Oh, Angel Cejudo.
And Angel Cejudo, the brother.
Yeah.
Cejudo's brother. I wrestle him, but I don't want to talk about it because he's retired.
Right.
And I'm not gonna win anything. I'm not.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
So,
but I mean, no, it was fun, and I wrestle him, and he's a great wrestler. I have so much respect for him.
Yeah. Hey, and okay, so MMA posible para ustedes. Possible for both of you, MMA?
I think it's possible for me, and I have been tagging already with. What's the name of the guy? Joel Romero, como el manager de Joel Romero.
Malky or Abraham?
Melita.
Kawa, el apellido Kawa. Ellos están aquí en Miami. Malky Kawa or Abraham Kawa?
And I have been tagging to Captain America.
Okay.
The guy who coached Henry Cejudo.
Okay.
I have been talking to all those guys, and I think I'm interested, man.
All right.
I wanna do it.
Yeah, because
I think it would be fun.
That's one of the things that I was saying, because I know boxing, you'll start making money now. Tú vas a empezar a hacer dinero ya, y en cualquier momento ya estás haciendo tremendo billete ya. But wrestling, right? The real avenue for wrestlers right now is really MMA. When you see what Daniel Cormier, what you see what these wrestlers are making right now in the UFC, and
you can see that MMA fighters, they have to for make big money, they have to do boxing.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor, he never sold 100 million.
Yeah.
No,
before he fought Floyd.
Yeah.
I think to be able to win UFC titles, you need to know a little bit about all the combat sports. Like, okay, I'm a good wrestler, and I think I'm gonna win.
That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Dilo en español, dilo en español.
Because he has his body. Y que eso no es lo que yo digo. Él pregunta que si Ovario tú van a hacer MMA, pero Ovario como boxeador tiene su futuro, tú sabes. Los boxeadores ganan mucho dinero. Incluso la gente de MMA, para hacer buen dinero más grande, quieren pelear con los boxeadores, porque Conor McGregor nunca hizo $100 millones, nunca lo hubiera hecho en MMA. Pero lo hizo en una noche peleando con Floyd.
Bueno, el MMA está subiendo. MMA is getting better. MMA is getting better.
Sí, el getting better, pero el boxeo sigue arriba, tú sabes, en lo que es el pago como tal.
Yeah.
Pero los salarios de la gente de MMA es altísimo igual, tú sabes.
Yeah.
Comparado a una persona como normal, lo que gana un atleta ahora mismo este fin de semana, Tony Ferguson ganó $500,000, $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, bueno, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. Gracias por el tiempo. Ya he estado con ustedes. No quiero quitarle más tiempo. It's been amazing. It's been amazing, you know, and I'm very happy that you guys are here in the United States. I'm very happy that you guys are representing the United States. Like I say, I'm Cuban, but I'm Cuban American. I'm very proud to be American, and I'm very proud to have you guys here in the United States. Very happy for you guys to have the opportunities that you have. Very happy for you guys to enjoy what I've enjoyed in the United States and all the success in the world. And you guys got me here, man. You come to Miami, you got me here. Count with me. Cuenten conmigo, and a lot of success, man. You guys have my phone number. Well, I'll send it to you. And awesome. Good luck with everything.
Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for all the information.
Thank you.
Okay, dale, guys.
Gracias, mi hermano.
Dale, brother. Gracias a ustedes.
Vamos.